day, every day. I check the websites, I follow things, but it changes so regularly. The rules, the regulations, where you can go. But back when you had a tier system, it was just, how was I supposed to get into the country and go from one tier to another, stay somewhere? Was I in the right tier? Was I in the wrong tier? Could I then go and visit family, cross borders, however it works? It's just so difficult for me to understand reading it, because the information is so varied and it changes.
This must be affecting how you grieve.
I haven't had a chance. I just threw myself into my job, and I don't even take, honestly, I do my best not to think about it. It sounds awful to say, and you know, I just, if I think about it, then I think honestly I would just go into an absolute hole.
Well, I don't want to make you do that. What about the vaccination situation where you are?
Well, the vaccination situation at the moment, I believe, as far as I understand it, my French is mediocre at best. I kind of follow things. I'm 33. I'm not, as far as I'm aware, I'm not on the list for vaccination. I haven't had my first one. I don't know when I'm due it. They have a system here where you can where you pick up a dosage that's been left over from the previous day. But it is so chocker with people trying to grab it, you never get on the website fast enough to pick it up.
Well, look, I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I hear it. But there'll be compensations where you are?
In what context? Sorry.
Well, nice part of the world?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you know, the work that I do, I'm outdoors, or I'm in the sunshine most days.
Oh, what is it you do?
Lovely. I'm a builder by trade.
Right.
And you know, I spend all days either renovating inside or concreting or whatever it might be. It's always a lovely day to work, and it's like working while you're on holiday. But it's a minor compensation considering the circumstances. I'm desperate. I'm absolutely desperate to get back and see family. But with the way things are, finances are extremely tight, and as far as I understand it, for myself and my girlfriend to get back for the family occasion, for the memorial, it's easily going to run into £300-400 before we've actually even booked flights, rented a car, or booked accommodation. And it's just not feasible.
Robert, I hope you get back soon. It's nice to talk to you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take care. That's Robert in the south of France. Wherever you are in the world, whatever your situation, as I said right at the start, and Robert perfectly exemplified it, this is really about relationships and family, isn't it? And for all the joy that technology can bring us in some circumstances, and Robert's entirely understandable, being there in person is what's required. And COVID is stopping that, and COVID has been stopping it now for more than a year. So wherever you are in the world outside the UK, let me know how easy or difficult it is, or has been, to get in and out, what the rules are, and what it's doing to you. 0345 6060 973. Here's Celia in Lisbon. How are you, Celia?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can.
Then we're laughing. Great. Tell me about you.
Well, I mean, I have no issue. It just, especially after your last call, I feel so desperately sorry for his plight. I mean, that's just, everything pales into insignificance, and really my life has been very good. The only thing has been is that I haven't been able to get to UK since March last year. I live permanently out here with my family and have done for many years, and that's great, and that's all wonderful. But obviously I have connections in the UK, and I've been wanting to get back. I have a little flat in the UK, and I would love to get back and check on it, make sure it's all right. And that's very possible. We had flights booked for last May 20, whatever it was last year, the one that didn't happen, 2020, which of course we then postponed, and we have now booked for July this year. So we wait and see what's going to happen, whether the situation remains just here in Portugal, all is good for the time being, and it looks as if
Let me know about you. We'll catch up in a moment with Niall in Ukraine. Wherever you are in the world, tell me what's happening. 0345 6060 973. At 6:30 in the UK, here's Thomas Watts with the news.
The BBC has apologised after an inquiry condemned its actions over the Princess Diana panorama interview in 1995. It found reporter Martin Bashir acted in a deceitful way, and an internal investigation into his actions was woefully ineffective. Number 10 has rejected suggestions that delays in the COVID tracing system contributed to the spread of the Indian variant. It's reported 8 councils in England, including hotspots for the virus, didn't have access to the full data for weeks. Officials close to negotiations between Israel and Hamas say they expect a truce to be announced in the next 24 hours. Israel's security cabinet is expected to meet later, where the issue of a ceasefire is likely to be discussed. The weather tonight, strong winds developing across southern England, most areas seeing further spells of rain. It will feel a bit milder, a low of 8 Celsius.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. LB
sort of lockdown restrictions have you been under?
Yeah, there's been 3 different. They've come up with an after quarantine that they do by region, and depending on the region you're in, I get a message from the government every day on my phone telling me this is the situation in your region. You're in lockdown phase 1, 2, 3, or 3 of it, and depending on which level you're at, bars have to close inside or outside, or basically you can't do anything or you're free to do anything depending on what level it's at. My observation of the people here is I think the government has sensible regulations on that, but the people tend to ignore it. They're more concerned with everyday life and surviving. Yeah, I think that's just the mentality of the people here. At the moment, the infection rates are coming down. It's working quite alright, but there's no real vaccination plan to be spoken of because they just haven't been able to get the number of vaccines. So they're talking about getting another 600,000 vaccines now this week from the COVAX plan, but they're thinking about having a portion of the population vaccinated by the end of the year. So it'll remain the situation that it's not getting out of the country the problem, it's getting into where we're going to.
And what are you doing in Ukraine anyway?
Oh, well, my wife and my kids are here, and so my second wife and my kids are here, and I work in IT, so it really doesn't matter where I'm located.
And do you like it?
So I can.
Ukraine, I mean, not like you.
Yes, I absolutely love it, to be quite honest. It's very different. When my father came here for the first time, he couldn't understand that there was no TV channel available, either on normal satellite or on cable TV or normal TV where you can get English news. I said the people here are just not focused on things like that. They look eastwards. Now, that's not the same in the entire of Ukraine. In Kiev, it's completely different. But if you're in the southern Ukraine like me, the whole cultural orientation is very different. So it's quite an experience. It's very interesting indeed. And the weather, of course, is fabulous. You have proper winters and you have proper summers. So it's a nice place to live.
Now, great to hear from you. I'll let you have that conversation with your wife that she was keen to have a moment or two ago. That's Niall in the south of Ukraine. Where are you in the world? Can you shed some light on all of this for us? 0345 6060 973. Here's Jimmy. I haven't been able to see my whole family back in Spain since December 2019. I lost about £700 in cancelled flights as I booked last July, moved them to October, paying extra. Then I couldn't move them again because they only allow one change, so I lost £700. Haven't seen my parents, brother and other family since December 2019. It's horrible. And this tweet says, I've been in Greece since December. I'll be returning to Britain early July. I'm dreading the 3 or 4 hour wait at Heathrow while they process all the forms and the PCR booking forms. I felt much safer about COVID in Greece than I did in the UK, as we've had a much tighter lockdown here. Wherever you are in the world, it's 0345 6060 973. Now, the COVID report, here's LBC's Kate Baldock.
Yes, first to holidays, as we're being told by the government to have more patience after the traffic light system was published. Ministers say the world has to catch up with the UK's COVID vaccine programme before we see more countries being added to the green list. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps has told LBC most people understand the need to be careful.
I know there are people out there who, never mind, caution to the wind, let's just reopen this thing up. That's not where the British people are. People want to be cautious about this.
Meanwhile, Downing Street has denied that delays in the coronavirus tracing system contributed to the spread of the Indian variant of COVID-19. 8 councils in England, including Blackburn and Darwin, reportedly didn't have access to the full data for 3 weeks in April and May. It meant more than 700 cases weren't reported and traced locally. It says public health officials in England are investigating a new coronavirus variant. It's not known where the strain originated, but 49 cases have been found, mostly in Yorkshire and the Humber. We're told there's no evidence it affects vaccines or causes severe illness. Elsewhere in the UK, there are growing calls for clarity from the Scottish Government as East Renfrewshire and Midlothian look set for tighter COVID restrictions. After an 11th hour decision to keep Glasgow under level 3 rules last week, many businesses feared they could be next. Nicola Sturgeon hasn't held a public briefing for 9 days, and Labour MSP Paul O'Kane says people are anxious.
What we really need is clarity and communication from the First Minister and from the Government. And the First Minister throughout this pandemic has been praised by people for her communication. I don't think we've seen that, certainly in the last week. So we need clarity.
The Scottish Government say a decision on the next steps will be taken by the end of the week. In Wales, their health minister has admitted the NHS faces an enormous task to clear routine waiting lists. More than 500,000 people were waiting for treatment in March, which has risen nearly 25% since the start of the pandemic. Eleanor Morgan has told LBC the problem won't be dealt with overnight.
There's a gargantuan task ahead of us here in Wales to clear the backlog that has arisen partly as a result of the pandemic. And I'm aware that those 500,000 people who are waiting are not numbers, but they're individuals who are in pain and are suffering. I'm afraid I'm going to ask them to be patient, to be understanding.
Now, the Welsh Government have set aside £100 million in new funding to help deal with waiting lists. Meanwhile, today's daily COVID figures have come out this afternoon, and they show that so far more than 37 million people have received the first dose of their vaccine, and that 7 people have died in the UK within 28 days of testing positive for the virus. And Prince William has paid tribute to those involved in the rollout of the COVID jab after getting his first dose at London's Science Museum on Tuesday. It's not known which vaccine he was given. The Duke has previously hailed the monumental success of the major jab programme.
Kate Baldock with LBC's COVID report. We'll carry on taking the temperature around the world when it comes to travel. We know that many people in this country are itching to get away. Lots of people off to Portugal already this week, many more going this weekend. But the rules and regulations differ around the world. We've heard from France, Portugal, Belgium, the US, among others. Where are you? 0345 6060973. We'll check in a moment with Mark in the Netherlands after the headlines now from Thomas Watts.
An inquiry has found Martin Bashir was guilty of a serious breach of BBC guidelines in securing his panorama interview with Princess Diana. Downing Street has denied that delays in the coronavirus tracing system contributed to the spread of the Indian variant of COVID-19. Unions say government plans to overhaul the running of the railway do not go far enough. The weather tonight, most areas are seeing some further spells of rain, strong winds across southern England, a low of 8 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Dave. Golf, there are severe delays on the M25 anti-clockwise